Okay. Back for, this is number 120 live with Spry. So we're racking them up. We're getting quite a few. A little bit later than I was hoping to get started. Megan Smith is in already. Tonight I'm gonna try to make it shorter than the last couple. The last one's got a little bit long. Jeff Trudell is in. Chelsea's in. Welcome everybody. Once again, please do me the favor, if you would, of sharing. If you would share these while it's live, I think it's important. If you'd share them even after, if you're watching it and it's not live, I think that's important too. Seems to be able to get to people that may have an interest in some of the live stuff. I know you guys know I think the live stuff has a lot of value to it. I think it being live has value because there's a lot of interaction. I'm going to slide Tito over. Explain to you my little bit of a game plan tonight. Then I'm going to get kind of right back into it. Rick Schmidt says he just shared. Whoops, hold on. Jacob Burris joined in. Megan's there. Lark is on remote sit watching, which is perfect. Remote sit is exactly what Spry is going to do. You see Spry in the back here. One of the things I'm going to do with her tonight is I'm not going to put her on place. I'm going to have her do remote sit while I'm working with Tito off of place. Speaking of place. And the reason is because she is real good on place, and I don't have any issues. I have very few issues with Spry. You can just see I have a little bit of a creeper issue with Tito. I ran into it this weekend when we were at Jay's. We were able to go live from Jay's Sporting Goods. That was a great crowd, great group of people. If anyone is watching that was there, I thank you for coming. We had people that drove 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, an hour, and we had bad weather. Michigan had a lot of snow, so that was a tremendous turnout, and I thank those who came. One of the things that we ran into there was not a lot of problems. The dogs did really well, which I was really happy with. Elsa, who we had with, a little fox red, if you watched, you probably would have seen her. My battery died while it was live, so you didn't get to see the very end of it. But I do think there was like an hour and 16 minutes or something of live, basically seminar type setup that we had at Jay's. Elsa did really well. The exception was she did what Tito just did. She crept off of her bed a little bit. Tito, you can see, had our little adjustable leader on here. He is mouthing at it really quickly. Just in that short little period of time, he's deciding he wants to chew on it. So I am going to take it away from him, set him up for success while we get started. I'm just going to scroll through here quick. Chelsea says she's just leaving work. Give me 30 minutes to be responsive. Well, if you know me well enough that I probably will be still doing it in 30 minutes. But I am going to try to do them a little bit shorter. Some of these are getting long, and I don't mind that, because the reason they're getting long is because so many people, a lot of interaction. That's the reason why we do it. I am going to try to do it a little bit shorter because it's Sunday night, and I haven't seen my wife in a while, and Red is just going to bed, so I said I'm going to run down to the shop, do this quick. What I love about it is it's the shop, and we're actually getting reception, so that seems to be working. Nicole joined in. She shared. Taylor shared. Thank you for that, you guys. Garrett joined in. Rick was in. Barry's in. Aaron's in. Alex is in. Chelsea, Todd, Megan, Mark shared. Zach joined. Joseph. Joe and Lexi from Georgia. That's Joseph Cox. Jeff Bragg is in. Forsberg's in. Forsberg, your little boy's with me again here. Wes Hansen joined in. Jake is in. Jordan, great crowd. Vicky won the longest drive contest this weekend. She drove over 4 hours to Jay's to see the seminar, and I really appreciate her effort and willingness to do that. Rochelle joined in. Shaldig is in. Nice to see another live session. 120, Shaldig. We got a pile. That's what I call a pile. We got a bunch now. Carol is in. Carol didn't make it this weekend because I think it was a weather thing. Or she had commitments. She's another Michigander. I'll tell you what, guys, I loved the Michigan trip. I wish Steph would have made it with me. That would have been the one way to make it a little bit better, but loved it. Loved the people. Where I was, they have wild elk, which I had no idea. Like, I talked to people that had found elk sheds. We had 2 Whitetails Unlimited banquets that were phenomenal. Great crowds, great people. I was reminded of just how much there is beyond shooting deer when it comes to deer hunting. These deer camps are really great opportunities for people to celebrate hunting and all that goes along with it. And I am inspired after leaving those, especially this weekend. I thought it was phenomenal. So, Black Dog in the corner. I'm going to leave her there. I'm going to work Tito, and I'm going to try to get some footwork in with him. So I just want to move this a little bit so that I want to get her in. I'm going to wear my bag tonight because I'm actually going to, my goal or my plan is to maybe get to some retrieves with Tito. Forsberg, you've retrieved, I think, with him. And just so you guys know, Tito here is a client's dog. It's Jeff Forsberg, a friend of ours. Laura joined in, and I got news from her. She's going to be making the workshop. Rob Getluski joined in. BJ or we've been messaging back and forth. I don't know if it's BI Bowling. We've been messaging quite a bit. Is in. Dusty's in. Husband's 40th is what Carol had. I hope you were at a bowling alley wearing those dog bone shirts. Let's see. Hello from Michigan, Lori. Are you coming to Pittsburgh Outdoor Show this weekend? I am not, Alex. This coming weekend, I'm going to be back in the UP. Ron Herring says he shared it. Please do an event in Central Illinois. I'm always working on events, guys. We do have some coming up. I'll knock it out really quick. First timer. Who's a first timer? Brad says he's a first timer. Well, we'll make it fun for you, Brad. We have not a Jay's. We did Jay's. We have a Cabela's at Rogers, Minnesota coming up. That's February 24th. That's at 2 weekends. We have a Bass Pro Shops, Altoona, Iowa, coming up. That's March 3rd. Those are all free seminars. And I'm working on a couple other things right now. So, but those are 2 that are coming up in the next 3 weeks. So let me get Tito off his bed. Forsberg, answer me this if you're watching still. Just so everybody knows, Jeff owns Tito. Have you done any retrieving were you doing retrieving with him down there in Missouri? I don't remember if you were or not. I'm going to come back and take a look. But I haven't yet. So we're going to see where we're at with him. So first things first, I'm going to hook in with him and tie in with him the way I like to do that. I want to work on, if you remember last time when I turned to the right, he did pretty well. He made a real nice right turn. That's easy. That's kind of, you're on the outside lane, so you're just following. It's when I got to the inside, put him on the inside, he ran into a lot of issues. He got a little awkward, he got a little uncomfortable. He would sit down immediately and basically pin his butt to the ground, and then he would just pivot with his back feet anchored because he was sitting. So one of the things that I've been working on him since that, and that was a couple days ago, is I worked on it a little bit earlier today when I got back, is healing with him and not getting him to sit right away. So I had to do this with Spry too. I got to the point with Spry where I would stop and she would sit. Stop, sit, stop, sit, stop, sit. It was a nice habit that she got into. Then I got to the point where that didn't help me. His habit of sitting right now is not helping us try to turn into him. That's one of our problems. So I have to figure out, like, why were we having that issue? And if you're a couple people are new, I'm sure, watch back. We're talking about more specific stuff with Tito right now, but with his feet not moving back because it was a little uncomfortable and awkward for him. Part of it was because he's in a real habit of sitting every time we stopped or slow down. In fact, when we would slow down, he would sit. So what I'm going to be working on now is, before I get into those turning back into him to get his feet and get the bend right, and someone told me, I think Chelsea told me, that it was helpful to look from my angle, so I held the camera up here and you could see the bend in the body a little bit easier. So I'm going to try to do that again tonight. But what I'm going to do with him is I'm going to first start out getting where he does not, I'm going to try to get him to not sit when I slow down or stop. So now I just want him to stand, because by him standing, my next step is to turn into him, and I'm going to ask him to start backing up with his hind quarter and then bend his body. And in order for him to do that, he's got to be able to move his back quarter. And if he can't move his back quarter because he's sitting, I'm in trouble. So I just had to reverse engineer the problem. The problem was I couldn't get him to turn. How come? Because his butt was going down and he was anchoring and he was just becoming a pivot. And I don't want that. So first thing I'm going to do is just, again, sink in with him, get a little bit of rhythm with him, get a little bit of cadence that he feels me, I feel him. I'm going to vary my pace. I'm going to make sure he's not out too far. I'm going to make sure he's not behind. Just going to get a nice little feel together and get a rhythm together. And then from there, we'll start to build on it. I won't talk as much. I don't talk nearly as much when I start doing this. Forsberg, retrieving that is just a little short, fun ones. Okay, so here's where we're going to get started. Now, again, tonight, I've got the long adjustable leader on him. And the collar is not too long. When he stands like that, it's sitting up above the ground about that far. That's not going to trip him up when we make retrieves. I would prefer myself to have the short one. I got the long one. It's the large versus the small collar size. The other one is 6 inches shorter. I would like that. It would make me feel more comfortable with the heel work, but I'll just adjust and I'll put my hand down slightly further than I'm used to. So I don't have many dogs that I use the large collar with. That's why this is going to be a little bit different for me. But I just gotta, so I gotta get a little bit of an adjusted feel myself. So you'll see my hand here is actually on the hardware, where normally I'm about an inch or two beyond it. I'm just past that stitching. But that's what I call my home row. Like, that's where I feel comfortable. So tonight I'll be moving it to here, because if I need to get a correction, it's right there. It's on and it's off. On and off. I had some great conversations about timing this weekend in my truck on my way home. I made some phone calls and talked to some people. We talked a lot about timing and how people are recognizing that a lot of times their timing is off. And when your timing is off, he doesn't understand. It's not his fault if he doesn't understand because you speak a different language to him. You got to figure out how to speak his language. So my timing has got to be good, and in order for that, I got to have my mechanics be good. So I'm going to be a little quiet here, and I'm just going to work on a little bit of heel work with him. I'm just trying to sink in, and my objective with this is to get him to come to a stop or slow down without having to sit, wanting to sit. So if he does, I'm going to counter it by moving. If I start to slow down and I see him, body language, start to sit, you'll see me. You'll see me just pick it up just a bit so he comes with. And then when he does, I'll say good. And then I'll slow down, and if he comes, I'll go. If he goes to sit, I'll go. So you'll see this. Tito. The thing that Spry is going to do is, Spry is going to sit. There's his tendency to sit. Spry is going to sit and watch. See how he wants to sit? When I turn away from him to the right, he does pretty well. Notice the loose lead. Real nice position. This is really hard for him to do. He didn't do this. Last week he was sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting. And as soon as I say it, he wants to do it. Good. See how he wants to. He's getting a little better at it. You'll notice there's some improvement from the other night. Quite a bit. I've done it once with him since. That was earlier today. Distraction for both of them. Sit down. Little tap. That was a real nice little sequence. Now I'm going to get him to start thinking about our pace, because he does really well when he goes slow for a while. But as soon as I start picking up the pace, he goes back to his old ways. You see, he's got a little bit of a distraction with Spry. Where I lose his focus so faster. You sit. Sit. Get a little more space for her. She crowded us there. Creeper. I'm going to grab this, flip this around. He's healing on the left, the camera's flipped. Yes, thank you. So he's on my left. This is my left-hand side. Camera was flipped around, so I swear it's the left. It looks like it's the right. Watch the hindquarters. See, as soon as he looks like he's going to start to sit, I'm taking a step right there. I missed it. Missed it. That's good. Yeah. This is the view I have. This is way harder for me. My timing's not going to be as good because I'm watching through the screen, not the dog. See how he wanted to sit there, so I move. Good. Good. Little tail wag tells me he's all right with it. Yeah, come on. Get him to move. Let him crowd in on me a little bit. Good. Now this is really good because we're stopped and he's not going to sit. Good, heel. So this is step one of me trying to get his feet to go backwards, which is what I'm going to do next. There you go. There, very good. No. As soon as he goes to sit, I need to step. Good. Good boy. I'm going to let him know this is what I want. Good. Heel. Good boy. Last 3 or 4 times he's done it perfectly. There's my little turn. Real loose lead. Right there he goes to sit, I take a step. Good. Very good. Good boy, heel. So that one you can, it's hard, it's subtle and it's hard to see, especially from this angle. Good. Good boy, heel. Good. Heel. Now I can't even get him to do it, so that's good. Now I'm going to put this back up. So, good boy. That was the last test that I needed. Let me around again. Okay, now, heel, good boy. Now I'm going to try to build off of that. When he goes to sit, I'm going to move. Good. Nothing changes. I don't want him to go back to it. I got rid of the camera and he thinks, oh, we're done, and he's going to talk to you guys so he can sit. I don't want that because now I'm going to go to the point where instead of my right hand turns, and she's done just fine now, following, I'm going to turn back into him. And I got to get this body to go this way. Actually, no. I got to get the body to go the hind quarter first, and he's going to actually have to physically back up. And so what I'm working at is to stop him from wanting to sit every time we stop. It's going to help. Because last week, when I would do it, the first thing he would do is he'd just plop his butt down. As soon as I stopped, or got to the point where I was going to turn, I have to stop in order to turn. So I come to a stop, and I look to turn, and his butt will go down, just like that. So now I got to be able to bump him back. Come on. Now he wants to lag a little, so I'm going to speed up. Come on. So I'm going to pick the pace up because I don't want this to be super slow either. So I'm going to make it pretty quick to start out with. You can just see that body language as soon as I start telling him how he's a good boy. Good boy. Come on. He didn't sit. That was good. I'll take that as a win. Wait, now it's a quick turn. Sit. Spry's got a trick. Spry's little trick is, I'll just stand up and stretch out a little bit here. Oh, let me get up and stretch. And then next thing you know, she's stretching over here. So that's sit down. Yeah, I know your trick. So little creeper back there is going to have to, my pace is going to get going and she's going to go, ooh, I kind of want to get involved with this. So, you. Good. Oh boy. He moved his feet. He went the wrong way with them. But at least he moved them backwards. Good. Good. Look at the difference. Huge difference tonight. Come on. Now, what I'm seeing is, I don't want him to sit on me. I want to keep him standing. What I'm seeing is, tonight, I'm going to grab the camera next time I go back. Tonight, his hindquarters are going like this, and his front quarters are going with it. They're not going back and around, but they're turning. At least it's not pivot around the hind. Good. Actually move the foot pretty good on that. I'm going to show you this from my angle. This will make it harder on me. Heel. Come on. Come on. See how the hind quarter moved just slightly. Come on. Good boy. He's not sitting on that turn. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. Now what I'm going to do is try to move you backwards. Come on, back up. Look at this little back feet move. Good boy. Don't sit, don't sit, don't sit. That's what I don't want. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There, come on. And tonight I might not be as picky. Put this back up over here. I might not even ask him to back up his feet. As long as he swings them, I'm happy. Now look at him. Now he turns the opposite way out of habit. Come on, come on, get over here. Come on, come on, let's go. Come on. Come on. A little bit better than that. What I don't like is he's really laying behind. No. Probably pushing the amount of time he... See what he's about checked out. I can just tell. His body is telling me his interest in doing this is past. Now, I'm a little disappointed because it hasn't been that long. Yeah. I'm finishing this out on a real nice turn. Now tonight, he seems a little bit flat. And I'll be honest with you, I'm okay with that. Because I feel like we got a little bit out of him. We've made a little progress. Okay? And I am happy with Spry. I'm happy with Spry's minimal creepiness. So, what I'm going to do now is I would like to end it. I wanted to end that heel drill with him pretty quickly before it got any worse. I feel like we kind of peaked. And I felt really good about his turns until I started to try to back him up. As soon as I started to try to back him up, I feel like that kind of hurt his feelings a little bit. Because he didn't do it very good, and I think he knows he doesn't do it very good. And he kind of, I sensed a little bit of a shutdown from him. I didn't want to go any further. Because the tail is what I was looking for. I want the tail to get going. I didn't want that. I would have loved to have tried to push to get him to back up, because that's what I want. But I just don't think it's worth trying to push it anymore. So I'm going to leave him for a second to think about it. I'm going to get Spry, and again I'm going to put her on. I'll put her on lead. She's awful good on lead. This is just something I'm going to do in between now and when I make this little retrieve. Wes says huge improvement. I think so too. I really think that was a major improvement for only having one extra little session in between. I worked with him earlier this afternoon when I got home. That was it, and it was really, really short. I think it is. It's not what I want, but it's a step closer to it. So to kill a little time here with him and kind of let him, as you can see in his body language, he goes, wow, now you're gonna do something with her. And I want him to be able to show some control. So I'm not gonna do anything super exciting. I'm not gonna retrieve with Spry in front of him. I think that wouldn't be fair to him. So I am gonna have him just settle in and watch. But her, I'm gonna do a little footwork with, because I'm gonna show you guys what I'm looking for is that body bend to go this way, the hind quarter first, and the front shoulders to turn behind it. So if this, well, it's really hard for me to show, not my fingers, this end of me, if that's the back of the dog, and this over here, the tip of the finger is the head, I wanna see the body go like this, and I wanna see it go like this when I turn. So we'll see if we can't get Spry to give us a little demonstration of the bend that we're trying to get out of Tito. And if you'll remember, last week Tito would go like this, and then he would plant his butt, and he would spin on it. Like, that didn't move. Tonight, at least his feet stayed up, he didn't sit down, and he kind of went like this. So his pivot point was more in the center of his body. It was like, I'm gonna get her to stand. Now I don't want her to sit. Let's see if she can't
See if we can't get her to stand. So when she goes to sit, I step. Because right now I don't want her sitting. There, she goes to sit, I step. We just did this with Tito. So we'll do it with her. If she goes to SIT, I don't want to say the word because she'll do it. If she goes to SIT, well then I'm going to step. Right now, before she has a chance. That's the position I want. Very good. That's the position I want. So she goes, oh, that's all you wanted? Good. Stretch it out, little girl. Don't do that. Now, look how quickly she's, my one correction when she goes to sit by a little tone, and then I move my feet and she's with me. But if she wants to sit, now, there was a turn into her. No, I keep saying the word, and when I say the word, it's not fair. She thinks I'm telling her to do it. When she wants to SIT, I'll take a step. Very good. Watch the rate of the tail when I say very good. Very good. It doubles. Good. When I take a step, she comes. When she comes to a standstill, very good. Don't sit. If she sits, I move. Come on. Good. Don't sit. Good. Heel. Now, by having a dog that'll do this, I'm not against sitting to the stop, but for this drill, it's going to make it hard. It's going to create a problem. So we kind of got to train something back out of them, and then we'll train it back in. Now, all the while, a big thumbs up. Lots of blue thumbs for this guy, because he's really doing a nice job of watching. And she's doing a nice job of catching on to this. Oh, we're back to not SITing when I stop. Now, I've turned away from her and away from her and away from her. Now I'm going to turn into her. And now I want you to watch the body language, or the body bend. Now, I don't want that. I want the body to go, and don't want that. And don't want that. Right here is where Tito's pivot point was today. It was like in the middle of his body. It used to be here last week. He'd plant that down on the ground, and his front shoulders would swing. Don't sit, little girl. Heel. Come on. Now, this week, nope. The pivot point for Tito was right here. And it was like his front end and his hind end worked at the same time. They swung at the same time. What I want to do is I want to get the hind quarter here to bend back here, the spine to go like this, and the head to follow around. So I want this. So let's see if we can't get it with her. Now that she's figured out again, I can't bend. I gotta bend my body the right way. No, that was straight. That wasn't awful, but that wasn't what we were looking for. Come on. Now, because she's decided she's going to lag a step or two behind, she's pretty smart. She goes, if I stay back here, I won't get caught. Well, that's cheating, little girl. You have to stay up with me. So now she's about where I want her. I want that head and shoulders even with my knee. And when I stop and turn back into her, there. She's moving a lot. She's not super bent right now, but it's a slight bend. And I'll take that, man. That's good. What I want to show you is that's really difficult for a dog to walk with its backwards, basically, leading with its hind quarters or its back hips. It's really hard for dogs to do. If you want to see the struggle, watch it last week with Tito. He looked a little uncomfortable, and he got to the point where he actually like sat and flopped down on the ground and said, basically threw his hands up and said, I quit. So we're going to just work on how do we fix it. Well, after thinking about it and realizing what reverse engineering our problem, well, what was his problem? His butt hit the ground every time we stopped. Let's get another turn out of her. There. Now I'm just walking in circles, guys. But my dog is not stationary. She's not putting her butt down on there. Oh, got out of position, but loved her pace. Her bend is wrong. See how her bend is wrong? There. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Very good. That's it. Now, when you can control their feet to be real precise like that, we can do lots of stuff with them. Very good. Now, I'm going to bring her back over here. I'm actually going to put her, let me spin this back around.
Now, if you've got questions, fire away, because I'm going to wrap this up pretty quick. And I will go through questions. I always like to answer questions. It's the value of having it live. We're getting some really nice numbers. So clearly there's some new people. Has to be. So this is the time to ask some questions, Tito. Now, I am going to use the bed for this to make sure, because this is going to get exciting. And I may get a little excited, and I may get on my whistle a little bit. We're going to use the antler dummy. I think, I don't know if Forsberg was retrieving with the antler dummy or if he was using bumpers. We're going to try the dummy here. Tito is clearly big enough to handle it. The question will be, can I get him out and back? Now, you'll notice I'm not doing this in a big open yard. I'm doing it in a shot that's pretty good size as far as openness. I typically would say start this in a hallway, and I think that's where Jeff started out with some of his retrieving. Close all the doors in the hallway so they can go straight out and straight back and start forming a habit. Let's just see where this goes now. Two things that are probably, maybe I'm asking for trouble. One of them is, it is a pretty good sized space. He's got some freedom in here. The second thing is I've got a dog here. And that might be a little bit tough for Tito. It's part of the exercise for Spry. Like, she's going to have to realize that, and I think she'll do fine with it because she's seen it for a while now. Every retrieve is not hers, and that's what we're pounding in. So what I am going to do is, let's see. The thing I don't like about Facebook Live is this camera is really narrow. So I would prefer to have a little bit wider angle. I'd like to, so here's why I'm saying this is, ideally, I'm going to flip this so you guys can see. Man, we're getting some real nice numbers.
Ideally, this is what I want. I'm a dog, I want to help my dog go straight out and straight back. So I'd like to build like a corridor. So this racking is a nice straight line. This wall is a nice straight line. So ideally, what I'd like to do is, when you at least have one side of me here, my left hand side is like a wall, right? So it's relatively straight. And what it's going to do is it's going to help my dog mentally go out and come back. Where if I move over just 10 yards here, out, oh my gosh, there's this, there's that, there's room out here. And I want to take, so I'm going to take away, I'm going to try to take away about 50% of that. So here's what I may do.
On the fly, boy, now we're really cooking. We got good numbers. What I am going to do is on the fly, I'm just going to make this decision now because I think it's going to help us. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do these first retrieves with Tito and have it be a problem. This is not an attempt to see if we can screw things up. We screw things up enough without trying. So I'm going to put the camera right there. You'll be able to kind of look right down. I think you'll look right down this aisle, which is what I'm going to use. I am going to bring Spry over. So bear with me. I'm going to bring Spry. Man, this is just going to be tough. You're going to have to take my word for it with Spry. I'm going to put her right here. Spry. So I'm going to show you my setup here, because I think this is important. You screw this up.
We could really take a drill that probably would be pretty decent and work pretty well, and we could really butcher it because we don't set it up right. So Tito, sit down. It's going to be a nice little steadiness for him to wait while I show you what I'm doing. I don't want this dog in between me and the retrieve. Tito's going to go out and come back. I don't want the dog right here because I have Tito's going to come like this and he's going to go right over here. It's going to create a lot of issues. So I don't want that. I don't want her so close that she gets in the way and it's super, super tempting to her when he comes and returns back to me. So my whole point of this, of making this adjustments, like right at the moment we're going to make some adjustments, is I'm going to move her back. I'm going to retrieve out with him. And instead, one thing I normally would like to do is I'd like to have this at my back, because when I talk about eliminating,
show you what this looks like. This is what it's going to look like when the dog comes back to me. So he's going to come back. Well, I'm eliminating a lot of space. He can't run past me. So I've done this now. To set this up, I've eliminated a chance for him to run that way. I'm going to motivate him to go straight out and straight back. And let's just see how this goes now. It could go to hell real quick. And if it does, well, then we figure out how to make adjustments to it. So we'll see how he does. I don't know how he'll do. I am going to use the steady. I am going to use the tail of the collar to make sure I've got some steadiness. Here. So this is the part of the adjustable leader that I like. Here. I can hold on to this. I can line him up. And look at his ears. Jeff's done a little bit of retrieving with this dog, you can tell. When I line him up, he really zooms. And so I can, if he breaks, I've got him. If I want to send him, I just drop it. So this is the large, and this tab will ensure that it doesn't slip off his head. That's the problem I had with the old ones was I'd lose them. They'd slip off their heads when I'd send a dog. So, and the tail was just too long. So I'm not going to be super formal about this. I actually might not even make him be steady. I will, but if he struggles with it, I might not have him be steady. We'll just see how this goes. That was phenomenal. Okay? I'm not in a hurry to take it away. I got a hold of the lead. Good. Hold. And he's so happy. Hold. Now I don't want to let him drop it. Did. That was really nice. You can blow that up with pink hearts and blue thumbs all you want. That was excellent. So I don't want to be in a hurry to take it away from him. The last thing I want when this little dog runs out and picks something up and brings it back is to be, oh no, he's going to take it. Because one of two things will happen. Either he's not going to bring it back because he's going to go, screw it. You're taking it from me. I want him to go, let me show you what I got, Dad. And when he comes to me, I'm going to get down if I have to and share it with him. Don't be in a rush to take it away. The other thing that you got to be aware of is when you start reaching and grabbing and trying to get stuff from the dog, they'll dodge you. And as soon as they dodge you and you go like this, they go, holy man, that was pretty cool. Keep away. And all of a sudden now he'll chase me with something in my mouth. Really bad habit. Something that's really going to create a lot of issues down the road. So I don't want to get in the form of the idea of forming a habit of keep away. And I don't want to get in the habit of, I'm afraid to go back to him because all he's going to do is take it away. And to be honest with you, I kind of like it. I want these dogs to like this. That's why we're using this training dummy. This feels good to them. Doesn't hurt them. They like it. So they pick it up, they bring it back to me, and I'm conditioning that shape. So let's do another one. This is great. Forsberg or Sandbagger. This is pretty good. And look at how he comes right back to steadiness. This is all foundation. I don't know how old he is. Jeff, how old is he? 8 months, maybe? Maybe a little less than 8 months. His foundation is nice. I can't do this with a dog if I can't do this part with the dog if I can't do this without the retrieving. So this has to come first. Foundation has to come first. Let me get him again. Now he leans out a little bit, and I've got a hold of him. He leaned out. I felt it, and I went like this. And as soon as I went like this, he sat. So this will get a little bit more time. Get your whistle ready to get him back. Tito. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good. Now I'm going to share it with him. Now if I have to, I'll get a hold of the tail of the leader. I got him. Can't run off now. Hold. I'll encourage a hold. Hold. I'm going to get my hand under his chin. Hold. Hold. Good boy. We are not wrestling over this thing. Hold. Hold. I'm going to get underneath it. And right back into control. So I've got the tail. See? That was beautiful. Now one thing I don't want to do is, I'm not in a hurry to get it from him. but I don't want him spitting it out. So don't drag it out so long that finally he goes, spits it out. I don't want that either. So it's figuring out how long is that. I don't know. You got to be able to read your dog a little bit. When you start thinking he's going, lost interest, you saw before he lost interest pretty early when we were doing some of our drills of heel work. I had to go, I want to keep going, but I had to recognize it, go, I think if we keep going, we're going to go downhill. I didn't want to go downhill. So with him, you got to figure out, with your dog, you got to figure out when is the point where it's going to go downhill and stop before you get there. Because once you start going downhill, you're going to lose all the good stuff you got going up the hill. If your session ends poorly, all the good stuff before it, you might as well erase it. Because it's not going to register with these guys. So, I like that. I might go one more with him. I think I will. 3 retrieves. That'll be about it. And then what I'll do is I'll go, okay, who does that pretty well? So now I'm going to start adding to those layers as well. I would probably, my next step with him, I'll set up a little trailing memory. From a trailing memory, I can get him running a little bit of a 180. I can send him on one direction, the other direction. I like his steadiness. Forsberg's done a nice job getting him ready to come here. I've had him for about a month. I haven't done any of this stuff with him. So he's got the foundation between what Jeff put in him the first 4 months, between what we've kind of polished up a little bit and are continuing to polish up over the last month or so. I want to get his feet to move. I might put just a little more delay on this one. Tito. Good boy. Good boy. Hold. Good boy. Good boy. Good. Hold. Hold. Good boy. Hold. You get kind of courageous with it. Hold. Hold. Dead. Dead. Good boy. I got that one out pretty quick because he was getting kind of hot shot on me. He started flipping it back in his mouth and he adjusted it 3-4 times. And you know what? I don't want to see this go flip, 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 and it's out. And next thing, because that if he flips it out, I lost everything with the hold part of it. Now he hasn't been hold conditioned yet. He's going to have to get hold conditioned, and he probably will pretty quickly. Especially after seeing this. We'll get more into some fun retrieve stuff. Then I'll go to hold, we'll polish it, and then we'll go back to retrieve stuff. So he is, I don't know, 8 months roughly, and he's not through hold conditioning, and quite honestly, I bet you the dog's made less than 50 retrieves in his life. And if you think I'm worried about him struggling with retrieving, you're wrong. I'm not worried about that at all. Spry didn't retrieve at all until she was 8 months old. Literally didn't make a retrieve until she was 8 months old. The reason with her wasn't because she wanted to and I just didn't want to. She wasn't doing it. So patience, patience, patience. You think I'm in a rush? Not at all. But trust me, in the end, he'll be there. He'll be just fine. So now what I'm going to do is swing this around.
That was a great session with him. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to take Spry off. Spry, come here. Spry. Sit down. Sit. I might even let Spry get a pick. She was pretty nice. She was pretty steady tonight. So here's what I'm going to do, guys. This is how I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to put Tito back to place, which is controlled. I feel pretty comfortable with him. Now, I do and then I don't. So I'm going to stand right here because my fear is, what if he breaks? If he breaks right now when I throw this, I have no way of connecting to him. So
I'm going to flip this around. He's right here. I'm right here.
If he broke right now, I'd step over and I'd have him. And it'd be an instant correction.
It'd be no.
Get back on your place. So, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin this back around. I've got a bumper out there. Spry's been remote the whole time. I'm going to go back through these questions, see what you got. Then I'm going to burn through them as quick as I can. And then we're going to end it with this guy, this girl, making a little retrieve. Okay, so I'm scrolling back up. I'm not going to the Pittsburgh Outdoor Show. We covered that. Central Illinois, we'll see if we can't get there sometime. First time here, that was Brad. Welcome, Brad. Hope you like this one. You caught kind of an exciting one, Brad. There are a lot of them that are very boring. I really recommend going back to the beginning. If any of you guys have young pups, you have to go to the beginning. Live with Spry turned into, this is 120 episodes or segments or whatever you want to call them. There's a lot of them before here and they get real boring, and if we didn't do them, we wouldn't be able to do this. We won't be able to do that. So you gotta have that stuff. So I like live because videos only show when things go right. Live show what it is like in real life. The bad is that you are so good at it. It makes me feel inadequate, but I keep trying. Patrick, don't ever feel inadequate. I make a lot of mistakes. These dogs make a lot of mistakes. I agree with you. I think that's where all the value is. I think seeing what happens and how to fix it is way more valuable than watching me demonstrate. I'm not a demonstrator. That creates frustration. Frustration creates quitters. We can't. You make a commitment and you got a dog. There is no quitting. So we just get through it together. That's why I'm here. And we'll work. That to me is. We had a long talk about that this weekend at the Jay Show. If you guys are willing to watch these things, I'm willing to do them. And I really think that your willingness, now watching them is one thing, and that's great. Like that's step one. But you have to then apply. So like you're gonna have to do the work. That's the only way we're gonna see results all the way through on the dogs that you guys have. I worry that I'm not getting the foundation and habits formed while he is still a pup, and I feel like moving slow is getting me nowhere fast, and it causes me frustration and makes me maybe work too much on things. Give me some inspirational advice. So here it is. As soon as you stop worrying about going fast, you'll go fast. In order to go fast, you have to slow down. You can't speed train dogs. There's no way. Carol Myers showed us how to speed train dogs. She just put it on, she put her video on time lapse and she fast forwarded it. That's the only way you can speed up training. You have to have the foundation first. And so let me ask you this. I worry about not getting the foundation and habits formed while he is still a pup. How old's your dog? That's my question. Answer that and then we'll keep moving on that. Forsberg says, yes, very little. That was to retrieving. Stephanie says, hi, hottie. I'm blushing now. Sarah Forsberg joined in. Carrie from Alberta is in. Would I bring my dog to the Minnesota one? Would I bring my dog? Jeff, you can bring your dogs. Cabela's is dog friendly. You can bring your dogs. Last year, I think we did have people maybe bring dogs. The difficult thing will be we won't be working on dogs much at Minnesota. Like, it's an hour-long seminar. There's not going to be a lot of time to talk about, we're not going to train a lot of dogs. We're going to train a lot of people in the hour. So I don't think you can't bring your dog. The problem is if you bring the dog, we're probably not going to be doing much. And the question is are you able to do that? And if so, absolutely. Mark said, wow, 73 on. I saw it go triple digits here today, guys. Like, it's a big deal for us. Christopher got in. Jeff said retrieving. Jordan Prevo got in. Zach is in. Mark, sorry, but the battery's fading. Mark will have to watch it later. Nick is in. Willie joined. Shane Stover got in. Glad to see you not snowball. No, I made it through the snow. We drove through some pretty good stuff here on the way. Amber says hashtag red plaid. Hey, we're all part of the gang, if you know what I mean. I heel on the left. Doesn't matter. Jeff, this is the question about the left and right. I was on the left. You can switch later. Ellie and Taylor heel on the right and the left because the left gets too crowded. Because when I heel these young dogs, they're always on my left. So they've started moving to the right, and I don't blame them. There's just too many people on the left. So I'm okay with the older dogs, and I think they should be capable of doing it both ways. It's just to start out, I think you got to be super consistent in order to form the habits you're looking for, and that means doing it on the same side, the same exact thing, all that. So I go left, 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 all the way until they're really good and they're off lead. So when they're off lead and they're solid off lead, then I don't mind if they swing to the right. So Chelsea answered that the camera was reversed. Dan watched the demo at Jay's. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Wes called out the improvement. There is great improvement on this dog. Watched last week. I don't know what day we did it, but it was number 119 with Tito, and he looked a little bit. his feet were off. He did not look comfortable. He kind of quit on me once. He flopped around like a fish a little bit, and we overwhelmed him. He's tired right now because he was asked to think quite a bit in the last 25 minutes, 30 minutes. That's perfect. We didn't run very far, guys. This shop's not that big. He did not burn that much energy, but he's exhausted. Sean is in from Horn Hunters Adventures up in Canada. Hey, Sean, I got messages from you this weekend. I apologize for not getting back sooner. I've got probably 8 or 9 on Facebook and a few that I saw on email. I didn't look at my computer much this weekend, so you guys that have questions out there, I will get back to them. I stayed up Saturday night. I was up till 3, and I answered all the questions. So if I'm missing questions, it would have been since after Saturday night. No, that would have been Friday night. Friday night I stayed up and answered all the questions. So it'd be the last 2 days if you asked one. I will get to you. Chelsea says 83. Psh, that was a long time ago, man. We went way higher. After watching you... There's that little creepy. After watching you do this a few times, I feel like I need to get Thor tighter to my leg, right turns. Could be, Jeff. I don't like him to fade out too far. I don't think you have to be sucked right tight to your leg, but I think you want to have... if the dog is too tight to the leg, I feel like they're just crowding to make sure that... I think they're padding their bet so that they don't get caught. And so I want a little bit of space, but I don't want them drifting out. We got a dog at the Mighty Pet that likes to drift out, that shepherd, Benelli the shepherd. That dog drifts way out, too much, so we got to reel that one in. But so it's finding balance there. Irvin James came in. We went over 100, Chelsea said here. Jason Erickson joined in from Minnesota. We'll see him in a couple weeks at Cabela's. Carol's got the 100 mark. Carol, our IT gal, who has all the tech stuff for us when it comes to Instagram and Snapchat and all that. She sends us the best pictures, and she adds a bunch of stuff to it. So she uses the emojis. Numbers. Yeah, Kevin Callums joined in. My buddy Kevin, I haven't seen him in a long time. Would cones work to set up a runway for a retrieve? They would help. Anything visual. I've used tree lines. I've used the cut grass between a field and the grass. Anything visual that helps steer straight. Let's see, 120, Jeff said. Ty joined in. Chelsea's in. Only the hardcore stick through the end here. Come on, Taylor. It did not get to 143. Someone must have been really sharing, guys. Because if you guys are sharing like that, that's the only way we do it. So I thank you again. Doesn't matter which side the dog heels on. Mine does both equally. I just use a different command for the offside heel. It is preference, says Michelle Adams. Yeah, I don't use a different command. I still use heel. But I agree. It doesn't matter. I think it matters early on to form the habit. And so I want to be super consistent with everything. Then what I will do is allow my older dogs, once they got it, then we can add a little bit to it. It's just another link in the training. Now Taylor says it was 150 plus. Come on now, guys. We'll get to 200. Good numbers tonight. Great numbers tonight, you guys. So you guys get my level of excitement as well. It seems like. I mean, just read through the comments and you kind of get. That's where the live effect is nice. That's where now there's not a lot of questions. It's more documenting the numbers as we go, but that's okay too. 8 months. So he is about 8 months old, and you know what? He's tired. And he did a real nice job tonight, and he's earned it, and I bet you he sleeps really well. So Chase says, now we're talking about training stuff. That's the problem I'm getting. He wants to play and drop it. So Chase, that's where we've got to get in the habit. We want to avoid that habit, get back into the habit of straight out, straight back, and that's where I would use a hallway. Close the doors. It's really hard for a dog to screw up in a hallway. I mean, well, I say that, and you can watch Spry screw up for a long, long time in the hallway. Like, she struggled greatly. It took us a long time. I remember Water got her retrieving. Yes, Jeff, we did make a breakthrough. You're right. We made a huge breakthrough over 4th of July because we were up north. I think it was 4th of July. Yeah, I think it might have been. It was a weekend that we were up north, and I used Water because she loves the water. She made retrieves really nice in the water, and there was no spitting out. That's another thing. In the water, they just don't spit out. Now, the problem is if you got dogs that go out in the water and you can't get them back to you, that's where you run into issues. But with her, her recall has always been super strong. So I could get her always back to me. So I got her out in the water. She picked the bumpers. These antlers float. So she'd pick that up, she'd pick up our fire hose bumper, she'd turn around and she'd swim right back to me. And that was where I think I had a breakthrough with her understanding, go out and bring it back to him. Go out and bring it back to him. It's kind of fun. And that was a big step in our progress to getting her to actually make some retrieves. 14 weeks is my buddy bowling. Now, is it B-I? Is it bi bowling or B-L bowling? I'm not sure how to pronounce it correctly, so I don't know if it's B-I, bi. So 14 weeks. So when I go back to this, now 14 weeks, like let's just stop right there at 14 weeks. Now, if I recall back to your question, it was, I'm really frustrated because things just aren't going as fast as I'd like them to go. Who are you trying to compare to? You got a 14-week-old dog. You know what I'd be happy with? If it wasn't pooping and peeing in the house and I could get it to be steady for feeding time. Like, I'd be pretty pumped. So I'm going to call you out and go, hey, be realistic, man. 14 weeks. Like, it's a puppy. It's a real puppy. I was thinking you were going to say a year and a half. And I was going to say, oh, I got you. They're still puppies. They're puppies, man. But 14 weeks is like major puppy. Patience. Talk to me in 2 years. If you're struggling in 2 years, if you put the work in between now and 2 years, talk to me in 2 years and we'll see if you're still frustrated. If you put the work in, if you're patient, and if you slow down, trust me, things will go faster. You cannot speed train dogs. Can't do it. So 14 weeks is your answer. That's my answer. It's a puppy. So where are the struggles? Where's the frustration? Part of the problem also will be you will struggle to move forward with feelings of frustration. When you quit worrying about it and you go, you know what? Jeff Trudell and I had this conversation. Jeff struggled with Thor for a long time. I think it was heel work that he was struggling with. And if you know Jeff Trudell has been one of the loyalist followers we've had since we started Live with Spry. And he's been to workshops and he's put a ton of work in. And he was really struggling with his dog and frustrated. And I could sense the frustration in the messages that he would send me. Like I was reading them and I could tell he was just hot, frustrated. So one of the nights I messaged back to him and I think I said something like, man, is it very much fun for you to work with Thor right now? Because it really sounds like it's not very much fun. And if it's not much fun for you, I doubt it's fun for Thor. And Thor was a young puppy. Like, he was pretty young at the time. And I went, trust me, they will not learn stuff if you're in a state of mind that sucks. If you think this sucks, so does your dog. And it won't learn. So I said, tomorrow night, don't be so picky. Just kind of take him out for a walk and maybe have a little fun with him. Like, smile at him once in a while. Laugh about things. You heard me tonight a little bit with him get a little bit excited, and then the little tail went a little bit faster. And as soon as his tail went faster, I bet you he learned quicker. He learned easier. So if it's work, hard, frustration, God, grumpy, and you didn't do it right, and you know how many people are watching this that get more frustrated than they have enjoyment because it's a process and they don't have a finished product? You won't have a finished product for the next 12 years. How's that sound? Now take the pressure off yourself. You don't have to finish that dog until they're 15. How about that? If you don't feel the pressure that you need to, I don't know where you're getting the pressure from. Is it because you want the dog to look like Spry? Spry is over a year old. Look back to when Spry was 14 weeks. She wasn't perfect. And if you say, yeah, but my dog's not as good as Spry was, well, I bet you your dog makes better retrieves than she did at 6 months. Does that make you feel better? Like, it shouldn't. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. So we really have to change the mindset of there is no time limit. You have nothing to prove to anyone. You're training the dog yourself. Like, who cares how long it takes? Who cares how slow it goes or how fast it goes? As soon as you quit worrying about it, I promise you right now, it will go faster. It has to. As soon as you stop being frustrated with things that are going wrong, they'll start to fix themselves if you make the right decisions and the right moves, which is why you're watching this. So I give you a ton of credit because you put some time into it, but you haven't put that much time in. I hate to break it to you. It's 14 weeks. Dog's 14 weeks old, and for the first 7, you didn't have it. So you've got all of a whopping month and 3/4 into it, man. It's not very much. We have to realize that this thing's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you train for a sprint and you try running a marathon, you're going to tip over really early. So just don't worry about it. The nice part about it is you're a part of this little community now, and we'll work you through it. We'll get you through it. I had someone call me tonight. Gosh, I wish I had a recorder. And someone called me tonight, not too long ago, and asked me some really funny questions. Says, "Hey, I got a dog and it retrieves my bird dummies, but it won't retrieve the antler dummy. How come?" I said, "Shit, I don't know." I don't know. What do you mean? So I don't know. So here's what I said to him. I said, "Do me this. Video what you got going on. Set up a tripod. Doesn't have to look good. Just I can't answer your question until I see what the heck's going on." So I said, "Video your dog. Show me what you're retrieving and what you're doing well with, and then show me what you're not doing well with, and that'll help me." But I'll tell you right now, I give that person a lot of credit. I don't know where they got my phone number, but on a Sunday night they gave me a call, and they were really surprised when I answered the phone. I think their first question to me was, "Is this a company?" I said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, what do you mean?" Well, they said, "What is your company?" I said, "What's your company?" And I think I caught them off guard. I didn't know. I thought it was maybe a prank call. But I said, "Film it. It'll help me. If you guys are willing to put the time in and put the work in to do this, I'll help you." Okay, let's see. When in the training is it good to incorporate whistle sitting? I think as soon as we get consistent sit, Cole. You can incorporate whistles really early. I like to incorporate whistles when they're tiny, tiny pups and they follow me around in the yard, because they naturally have a tendency they just want to be left behind. And so, like Pavlov ringing a bell, it's all about timing and classic conditioning. If I'm walking through the yard and the pup is following me and I'm peeping the whistle, that's training. That's training to recall to the whistle. So I'll do it then. I want them to get pretty good and understand what sit means before I start trying to get them to connect it to a whistle. So it might take me, I might have them sitting pretty good on lead, or you watch some of the live with Spry's. I got her sitting when she was in her little puppy pen, and I was using kibble, and I've kind of weaned her off of kibble for it. I wouldn't use a whistle that early. I'd want to do it once I got them on lead, and I'm starting to get them to stop to the whistle and sit. That would be, because it's real clear and it's real distinct, and it's real easy for them to pick up the idea of sitting when you stop. Now tonight we were training the dog to not sit when we stopped, but that's because we had to reverse engineer the problem we had last week with its feet. And part of the problem was he wanted to sit when we stopped, and if he sits when he stops, he can't move his back feet. So we just had to change it. I had to do it with Spry too, for different reasons. Yeah, actually, that might have been why I did it, was to get her turn better. I'd have to look back, but so bowling is Brandon. So Brandon's going to be. So now I know how to address you, Brandon. So stick with us, Brandon. Don't quit. You'll be fine. You'll be just fine. A couple more people joined in. Yeah, I hear you with the frustration thing. I'm frustrated with Jackson's reaction to dogs on leading people. I heard about that a little bit, Chelsea. I talked with the Smiths today. I thought, this is a different subject, but man, I was just really proud of you guys at Mighty Pet for doing what you did this weekend. These guys in Michigan had a little mini foundation workshop. It was more of a seminar workshop, I think, than anything. Really a soft introduction to the idea of what's going on at Mighty Pet. And Chelsea was there, and I heard there was a lot of good things there, Chelsea. So sometimes we've got to celebrate the victory. We really, and I'm guilty of it. I hang on the things that don't go so well, and I forget to celebrate the little victories. There was a lot of good stuff, I think, that went down there too. So let's see. I'm frustrated with Jackson things, and you're right. So that will create an issue because the dog reads us better than we can read it. You're not. Yeah, you are a negative Nancy, Chelsea. You're right. You said it, not me. But not that bad. I do think sometimes we get into that when we're at Mighty Pet and we go. There's been times at the end of the session where we do a little pep rally to keep everybody's spirits up. But such is life. So what? If I got to be a little cheerleader once in a while, I can do that. Jeff says because Boone is Still likes to dart out on lead. I went back to using the chain collar after watching the other night. Really gets his attention. Absolutely. Saw some improvement briefly. Hopefully we can build off that. The chain is sharper, and the chain is more crisp, and the chain makes more noise. And the chain doesn't need to be used harder. It's just a more effective tool, especially early on, Jeff. So I had a nice conversation about that today in comparison to prong collars. Prong collars I am dead set against. I do not think you need them, and I think they are not fair tools. I think they're something that's been marketed to people that it's a crutch, and we're working on helping some people get away from them. I don't think you need them. I think a slip chain is more than effective if it's used properly, and that goes back to timing. And you're right, like the noise alone can get dogs to respond. 2 clinks of a chain get dogs to really react. But that's, you got to earn that, you got to build that, and your timing has to be there, and you can't be naggy with it. A lot of people are naggy with slip chains, and that defeats the purpose of them. So we'll talk more about the mechanical stuff here as we continue with some of these dogs, especially when we get into some of the ones that aren't such good healers. So Jeff says he struggled mightily, let frustration go, and stopped worrying about the time and comparing it. There is where it was. Part of it was comparison. It is still a challenge, but I'm not a patient person. Most of us aren't. I am not a patient. I don't consider myself patient either. But I work through it by constantly reminding myself. So that was part of it too, was Jeff was really struggling with making comparisons because he had a dog that was very similar age to Spry. Was a little bit younger though, wasn't it, Jeff? There were a couple other people on, I think, that you had pups that were a lot of comparisons. So that's one thing. Who cares what everyone else's dog? Don't worry about what everyone else's dog is doing. It's not something to compare. You don't need to make comparisons. I think he feeds off my frustration and embarrassment nerves, which doesn't help. Totally, it shuts him down, Chelsea. When you're uncomfortable, your dog's uncomfortable, and when your dog's uncomfortable, they don't learn. Like that's one thing I learned really early on was, in order for them to gain something, they got to be in a positive state of mind, and that falls back on us to put them there. I don't know where I got it, but I just felt behind, and honestly, I don't know what I was comparing to. Perfect. So Brandon, like, just having this talk probably makes you go, that's kind of, what was I comparing it to? And why am I thinking, I've only had the dog for 7 weeks. 7 weeks is a blink. Like, you blink and 7 weeks will be gone, man. Let's see. Remember your final goal to have a buddy to hunt with. Your dog will want to please you. Indeed. And it'll, you know what? If it takes 10 years, you're still going to get 5 good years out of it. Now, it's not going to take 10 years, but you won't be disappointed because it'll likely take less. Chris is talking about the old live with Sprys. Best way to get them is YouTube. I think it's the easiest way to get them. Too much scrolling back on Facebook because they're old. They've been out there a while. We're up to 120. I think we're only up to 103 on YouTube, and that will change this week. I promise you that. We will have them all updated this week to YouTube. We've got a lot of videos that are going to get loaded to YouTube. Squeaky here is better zip it, or she's not going to get a retrieve. Let's see. We're all kind of getting on board here to support you, Brandon. So. Hang in there. Any tips for making a dog run past the dead fall? Any tips for making a dog run past the dead fall? Explain to me that. Explain to me a little bit more what you're looking for there, Cole. Run past the dead fall. So you shoot a bird, or you drop it, or there's a bird down, and you want to send it past that. I'm not sure why you would. Explain it to me a little bit more what you're looking for. Rocky says you watch it, don't zip it. Now this little one might have to go to the bathroom too. Jacob Burris joined back in. I think he was in earlier too. Brandon says, thanks Jeff. When I sit back and reflect, I realize Branch is really doing well for his age. There you go. Sometimes it just takes us talking about it. Old drops. Oh, so you're saying a bird, or in training, a bumper, you have one that's beyond a earlier retrieve and you want to send him back beyond it. I think part of that can be building strong lining abilities. Like I don't mind dogs that hunt out and hunt back. So that's one thing. So Cole says 50-yard drops going out to 100. So this is, you've already made a 50-yard retrieve and now you want to send them on 100. Sit down. Is that what we're talking about, Cole? I think one of the ways that I would do it is I would build strength in lining. So I would do ladders, and I'd line out on ladders. Now, lining out on ladders, I don't pile bumpers. I don't make piles because I think it encourages dogs to switch, which I don't like. I don't mind working an area like multiple bumpers in an area, but I just don't pile them on top of each other. I have some distance in them so that they're going to find one, make a retrieve, find one, make a retrieve. Might be in the same general area or general piece of cover, but I don't go piles of bumpers. So I might work on, so he says, sort of, if you're training on 50 yards and want to move out to 100. Okay, so now you're just talking about extending your line, I think. And if that's the case, then ladders. I would do ladders, so you're going to go one at 50, you're going to go one at 75, you're going to go one at 100. And what you can do is you can ladder them out as a memory. You can go out and set them up as like a trailing memory. Send for the first, send for the second, send for the third. The other thing that you can do is when you send the dog on every one. So let's say you set it up as a 50, a 75, and a 100. Okay, you come back to your starting position. So you're going to set it up like a trailing memory. You're going to turn around. You're going to send the dog for the first one. He's going to pick it and come back. Now, when you send the dog for the first one, start backing up yourself. So you went from a 50-yard retrieve. You backed up, and by the time the dog got to you, you might have added another 30 yards, maybe 40 yards. So you took a 50 and turned it into a 90. Now you send from there. So now you go, let's say you backed up 30. So now you're at 80 yards. So you're going to send it back 80 instead of 50 because you've already added 30 to the distance without having to do anything. You just backed up when the retrieve was going on. Now you send it to the next one, which is another 25 yards on top. So now you went from a 50 to an 80-yard retrieve, 50-yard send to an 80-yard return. Now you're sending on 105, and you might get another 30 to 40 yards in there, so you got a 145-yard return. And then you send on the next one that you add 20 to that, so you got another. So now you're up to 170 on a send, and you might get 200 by the time he comes back. So you can extend distances that way. I just don't like. I think that's one way of doing it. You could do it with singles, like if you're set on 50s. And your dog runs to 50, and if it's potentially because maybe you can throw 50 yards, and that's about as far as you can throw it. So the best way to change that is stop throwing, start doing memories, and then you can just add as much distance as you want. You could walk 300 yards, drop a bumper, turn around, walk back, send the dog, and now you made a 300-yard retrieve. And you can do that with trailing. You can do it with sight. You can set up to get all these different variations of retrieves, which is our new shed DVD. We show a lot of that stuff. And guys, I got good news. I think that's going to production this week. So the pre-order is still live. If you order the pre-order, you're gonna get the free bowl. So please, if you know someone that's interested, share that with them. We had an incredible response to the pre-order, and I thank you for that. It still is going to be live. You'll be able to pre-order it right up until I have DVDs to actually ship out. Pre-ordering is going to get you the free bowl. But that may be that I was shooting for the end of the month. It's probably not going to be a lot earlier than that, but it might be a few days before the end of the month before we have them in. But so Cole, it sounds like got you creating distance makes sense. So yeah, so you're just going to extend things. I think these guys get in routines. And they can almost memorize how far you can throw, so they run that distance, and that's when they start to hunt. Now, I don't mind dogs that hunt out and hunt back to a degree. I think it's valuable in the field. I don't trial. I have no need to train for trialing. I think if you want to do good in trials, you have to train for trials, and that's whatever kind of trials you're doing. I have no desire to trial a dog because it's not comparable to what I do for hunting, and I focus on the hunting. So, let's see. What command do you use to send back or the dog's name? I say get back. I'll tell them to get back. So I don't use their name. I send them on their name from a heel position. I'll send them on their name. But when they're out there and I stop them on a whistle, I'm going to say get back, and my rights and lefts are going to be get out. Let's see. Hey from Kentucky, didn't know you were live. We did go live, Donnelly, and we had a hell of a crowd tonight. I'm good on doubles. Blinds are the pain. Good on short blinds. Long blinds are terrible. So if you say it's terrible because of a fade, because the dog starts to fade at a certain distance. It's probably because he's used to a certain distance for retrieve. So extending. So I won't even work on. I would be doing no blinds. I'd start out with lengthening with memories, and then build on that. Chelsea, sight memory is so you heel the dog with you when you drop the bumper, or you remote sit them. Yep, a little of both. Rocky is calling that for you. The trailing memory is where we got them on heel. The sight memory is where they're remote sitting, and you're actually just going to see it visually. So we're through all the questions. Man, great session tonight. Incredible numbers. I suppose I should allow this dog to give a little hunt. So instead of sending her on this one, heel, Spry, heel, Spry. Instead of sending her on this one, it's going to be a little bit more of a, I'm going to walk her over here. I'm not going to be super formal with it. I'm just going to give her a little hunt command. I'm going to let her go do a little work. Heel. All right, find it. Find it. Find it. Find it. Find it. Good. Super easy. Nice little visual. Figure out how to pick. Come on, come on, come on. Whoa, my mistake. Here, here, here. Whoa, we're really going to see it now. Here. Sit, sit, hold, hold, hold. It's a good test of hold right here. So I'm going to get a hold of old Creepy McBreaker here. Now, whose fault is that? Here's where hold comes in. So when she comes in, that was a really nice little pass of a test from her. She comes in, this guy breaks off. She holds nice and steady, doesn't turn it into a keep away. Doesn't turn it into a wrestling match. Wasn't going to fight over it, but she's going to make sure she was pretty shifty and moved just the way she needed to move to keep it. And she did not drop it. And that's where hold conditioning becomes so valuable. But this guy, when he breaks off that bed, who do we blame for that? How about the moron blowing on the whistle? Because I recall her, and the reason I had the whistle was, did you see her hang up a little bit? She picked it up right here, and then she decided to go over here, and I went, no, 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 come on back. Beep, 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 beep. And as soon as I did that, old Blondie decided to come running too. So we avoided disaster, which was nice. We got out of it. We still got a little hold, so I'm going to call it, come here. Come on, bring it on over. Nice little delivery of hold. A nice little understanding of, boy, you know what? These antlers, these are all right. Did. Very good. And we finish out with a really strong finish. And instantly the numbers kind of jumped up too. So more dog stuff shows that more people watch. But excellent session. Thank you guys for watching. That was probably one of the best ones we've done in a long time. I think it was because there was some mistakes. There was some definite improvement off of last week. There were a few things that we did for the first time tonight with him that he did really well. And so now I make notes in my mind. A lot of people write them down, and I think you probably should, but I got notes all over the place. So one of the things that I will make a note of with him is let's take another step with some of the retrieving stuff. Let's get to the point where we can have some comfort with the retrieve, and then we'll probably go to hold conditioning. And then you guys can follow along with that. But thank you. Great night. Way to wrap it up on a Sunday. Now, some people get bummed out that it's Sunday. I get excited that tomorrow is Monday. I got a full week of stuff that we can do. So let's look at it that way of, hey, we got a full week. What's your plan? Where are you going to start? Where are you going to finish? Where you finish really doesn't matter as long as you keep moving forward. So have a great night. We'll talk to you guys probably tomorrow night.